I knew that anger would be exhausting. It's not sustainable long term. And I think anger long term becomes bitterness, and then it kind of wraps you and takes hold. And it's hard when you're in that place to see the goodness in life. And I didn't want to go that direction. So I remember thinking at that moment, no, I'm not going to be the bitter widow. And I mean, there were many, many times where I had to remind myself of that mantra, because anger is just such a natural part of this experience that I really had to think, like, okay, don't forget, you made the decision not to be an angry widow. That I was able to take my grief and turn it into something positive. And it was interesting because as I was writing my book, what came up a lot throughout was this idea, and this thing that was constantly in the back of my head was, I needed to find a way to honor Aaron in some way. And I think part of that came because we didn't really have a grave or a memorial for him. There was no body. So part of it was just, there had been no real tangible, I guess, send off. And there was no place I could go to sort of lay flowers down. So we hadn't really honored him in a sense. So that was sort of part of it. But the other half of it was this need to, direct this underlying anger is what it was, but to direct it into something that was positive. And I think that's ultimately, it took me a while, it took me 2 years after, but I think that's essentially what kind of started me down the path of writing the book. And just beginning to see the silver lining, beginning to see that I had this opportunity to grow spiritually, to kind of see the silver lining. I think that's what I wound up calling it. I remember doing a radio interview about my book when it came out. And I realized on radio, you have to be quick. You have to come up with these catchy little phrases. And the radio host clearly hadn't read the book. And so he's like, so what's your book about? And I just sort of blurted out in that moment. I was like, well, it's really about the silver lining of grief,